Okay, so let's dive into a little bit of JavaScript just to set you up. We're going to go to the index.html page and we're going to change one or two things. First of all, I'm going to get rid of these links that I placed on to show you the JSON. Also, I'm going to get rid of the form. So now I've just got a blank, empty web page. JavaScript appears in a web page between two elements, two tags, a script tag and an end script tag. So that defines where our JavaScript coding is. On our page at the moment, if I save that and loaded up the page, let's go back to here and let's just go and I seem to be all over the place with this one. Right, localhost, sandbox, JavaScript, and there we go. We've got the page, and the page is blank because we've taken the form off. We've taken everything off the page altogether. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a button on the page, and to specify a button in HTML, we just say button and say what's going to be written on the button, rather like we did with the links. We had an A, then a word, and then an end A. We're going to do this with the button. So there's my button. So now if I reload the page, I should see a button with press me, and I can press it as much as I like on the page. And it's not going to do nothing. I have to specify what's going to happen when I press it. Now, this is called event-driven programming. In other words, nothing's going to happen until an event occurs, and the event that occurs is me pressing the button. And that's really where JavaScript comes into its own. It's going to respond to events. And there's several events. I mean, I could drag this button across the page, I could click it, I could hold it down. There's lots of different events for a button. Mainly the one that you'll be interested in is when you actually click the button, and that event is called onClick. And what I need to do is say, well, if I've clicked the button, I need it to go somewhere, and I need a function in JavaScript. Now the function name is going to appear between quote marks. I need a function name in JavaScript for it to go to, and I'm going to call this one get JSON because it's a function rather like it in Python and Android. We have an open and close parenthesis. So that line now says I've got a button. It's got the word press me on it, and that is the end of the button. We could have quite a few bits and pieces inside the button. I don't know why we would ever do it, but it's available. And there is an event happening when I click it. On click, it's going to call a JavaScript function called getJSON. Now, this is server-side client-side scripting. Sorry. Because everything is happening on the client. We're not sending it to another page or relying on the server to do the answering. If I save that and run it now, I haven't written this function, but it should still work. So it won't do anything, it just recognizes that when I've pressed the button, it needs to do something. So I need to write this in JavaScript. And here's my script. And what I'm going to do is declare a function. If you were in Python, this would be def. In JavaScript, it's called function, and it would probably be called a method in Android. Function, and I need to give it the name, which is get JSON. Open and close the parenthesis. Now, the reason why we've got nothing in there is because we're passing nothing into it. Obviously, if we had something to pass in, so if we wanted to send a number in or a word in, we would type the word in there and it would be picked up inside the parenthesis there, but we've got nothing at the moment. All I want to do is open and close the function body, the curly braces, And I'm just going to do a very simple thing inside here, which is one of the best ways of debugging JavaScript at the moment. As I said earlier, JavaScript is really difficult because there's very few debugging methods available with it. This is one of them. And what it is it's going to write a box on the screen showing you the value of something. And that box is called alert. We have open close parentheses with it. And inside that we need to give a message. Okay, so I'm going to type this call worked. And again, we need to finish off a line with a semicolon. If I don't include the semicolon, I've still got this highlighted. It's not going to crash. Same thing again. The last line doesn't need a semicolon. We'll try it without. Reload the page. Press it, and up pops a box saying this call works. So this box is the alert. The message inside the box is that value that we passed in. So I'm going to go back. I'm just going to put a semicolon on the end of the line. Save it. Just get used to putting semicolons on the end of the line. It will save you a lot of grief later. I'm going to reload the page, press it, and again I get the same message back. So that's my first call in JavaScript. So I've written a function in JavaScript, and all the JavaScript function is going to do is write a box on the screen with this call worked. It's going to happen when I have a button on the screen and I press the button and it calls the function there. So far that's fine. Now, one small thing about JavaScript, notice that I typed my script in the head of the page. It's inside the head of the page. I don't need to do that. I could actually have it inside the body. So I'm going to move that script. I'm going to cut it from there, and I'm going to paste it just above the button. There we go. So I've moved it out of the head, so it's no longer in the head, it's now inside the body, and at the moment it's above the button. So if I save that again, reload the page and press me, lo and behold it works nicely. I could do the same if I cut this out from there and place it after the button. So I've got my script after the button this time. So the major difference is here is that normally for a program to work, you need to declare the function before you use it, and in this case it looks like I'm using the function before I'm declaring it. In most programming languages I would expect an error at this point. So if I save it and reload it, it works perfectly. And the reason is when the page is loaded, it actually looks for all the script tags before it starts playing with the HTML tags. So actually this is sort of declared before it is being used.